Greetings and welcome to a slightly sick Magebit. Joining me today will be Hana, and we have a good show lined up. I am going to do my best with my throat, but I can't promise that it's not going to give out on me here, so I will be probably relying on Hana to some degree here to read some of the articles. I can already feel my tongue turning to sandpaper in my mouth.
You always do your best with your throat.
Ah, thank you. I love hearing that. I like to know I'm appreciated.
Our man's not here, so someone's got to say it.
Yeah, you know. No one's called the house all day. All day. And then I press that big red stream now button. Phone call.
I love how you say all day like it's not 10:30.
Yeah, maybe it only became acceptable to call within the past hour and a half, but I've been up since 4 in the morning. I'm getting in that Stardew Valley life, you know. I gotta be up.
Yeah, I'm super excited for multiplayer, so that hopefully you can force me to finally play that game.
I mean, I didn't give you the copy. Full disclosure, you won the copy from me completely legitimately, so I can't say that I gave you the copy, because you won it, fair and square. But you own a cop,y and you've never played that game. It's one of the best games of all time, and now you'll have an opportunity to play it with me. I feel like you owe it to yourself. To some degree.
Oh yeah, the fact that I can play that game with somebody else increases the chance that I play it exponentially. I really want to play it. There's just so many games, you know, like that's the problem.
Yeah, I get it. It's just, this is one of those games that deserves the 400 hours that I've sunk into it. Like, most games that deserve my time get between 40 and 80 hours. A Far Cry 5... I'm under 60 hours in. Let me see here. How many hours do I have in Far Cry 5? 27 hours in Far Cry 5. And I have 380 hours in Stardew Valley. It's just like, there's so much to do in Far Cry 5 with arcade mode, but like, there's something about Stardew Valley that just captures my heart.
It's just weird. I think the past few years, it's just like me in single player games. Like, I love them, but the most single-player games I can only play in the last few years is like a really short story game, you know. And like if it's like, and even though like I still haven't finished Coma, so even though sometimes I kind of fall flat on. I don't know what it is. Probably ADD or something to that effect. I don't want to self-diagnose, but it's probably something like that where I just get distracted too easily or just can't focus enough on it. I don't know. That's
a possibility. I mean, the type of game that Stardew Valley is a game of patience and ambience. Like you need to just pretty much get lost in a routine and in an environment, and that's not something that's easily done, I guess, all the time. You have to have a specific mindset for it. So I understand that. That's also a personality type. I'm huge into like ambient type things. It was funny. I was at the dispensary yesterday, and I wore my Twitch shirt in there, and I got like bombarded by like 5 different people all asking me if I worked for Twitch. There's just like mad Twitch love everywhere, which is funny. That, or a lot of gamers are also potheads. One of the two. I don't know. There may be some correlation there. But anyway, what was the point of that story? I totally forgot the point of that story.
Me too.
I'm on so
let's
many.
Just pretend like we were very perfect and it made a lot of sense.
No, there was something good. Damn it. There was something I had to say there, and I'm sad. But you're right. Let's move on.
It was a beautiful point, Magebit. I can't believe you said it so eloquently.
I am on a buttload of cold medication and THC, so this is your 420 show early. Okay, we are a couple weeks early. We are 1 week early. We were exactly 1 week early, actually. So maybe I'll just hold on to the show and not release it for a week, because I don't know. Anyway,
I mean, you're gonna be recorded on 420 anyway, so
I suppose. Anyway, yeah, I will. It'll be a Friday as well, which is actually kind of cool.
Double 420 shows.
Yeah, this is just 420 month. Welcome to 420 month. Anyway, why don't we get into the show? I'm gonna do my best to hold my voice together here, and I don't. At some points, I'm probably, if I see an article that's like really long, I'm probably gonna have you step in at some point. Anyway,
sounds good.
Let's get this show on the road, and thank you everyone for dealing with the fact that I am sick, and also be amazed at the fact that I'm doing a show while sick. Generally, I don't know if you remember the past, but generally I cancel. I don't show up when I'm sick. So this is like maybe a first for me ever in history to do a sick show. I'm not sure. But I don't know. Maybe the winds are changing.
You should change your starting soon screen, by the way.
You're right, I should. Thank you. Let's change that over to the podcast screen. And I would have left that there the whole show, so thank you. All right, so here we go with the intro music and all that fun stuff. Okay, 3, 2, 1. You're listening to Runescape Weekly for 4/13/2018. I'm your host Magebit with 17 years of RuneScape experience. Joining me today is Hana, and on today's show, RuneScape price changes, mining and smithing feedback changes, old school RuneScape versus RuneScape 3 profitability, and GG RuneScape You Lost. Thank you for tuning into this edition of RuneScape Weekly, and enjoy the show. Welcome back for your Friday edition of RuneScape Weekly. Magebit here. I am a little sick. I'm hanging in there. I'm on the tail end of the PAX plague, as they call it. I got like sick. I got sick like day 2 into PAX. Like I was really dragging, and then like I just became full-blown walker zombie style, and then here we are. I'm alive. I'm pumped full of medications. I've been sipping on that mucus relief, and I've been eating those THC infused edibles, so I am partially still human. But I have here Hana with me, who is going to try to keep me somewhat reeled in. Thank you, Hana. Appreciate you being here.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here at the beginning of the show for once. So we get that rare Magebit Hana duo show that everybody loves so much. We'll probably talk about something other than RuneScape for half of it because we're very bad on topic.
Yeah, right.
And also, sorry for the quality of my mic. I'm having mic issues, so I'm using a shitty microphone. So sorry about that, everybody.
It's all good. It happens. And what's going on, Death Star? Chilling in the audience there. Good to see you there, buddy. So yeah, we have a good lineup for you today nonetheless, even though I'm like falling over, half dead, feeling like I'm going to puke at any moment. That's all good. Anyway, we got some PSAs for you here. Minigame Spotlight, currently on Fisty Guthix. The Circus is currently located at Varrock. Free Solomon's General Store item of April is Dragonfly Wings. Special GameJam 2018 livestream will be on the 19th of April they missed it by 1 day. They couldn't, I mean, you know what, it's best that they don't do it on Friday because we're live and that would be a bad conflict of interest for us, but still, come on. GameJam 420, missed opportunity. Mod Balance leaves Jagex on the 13th of April and joins the social chain. Goodbye, Mod Balance. You will be missed, of course. We've already said our goodbyes to Mod Balance on a previous show, but we will miss him, of course. And Mod Deg also leaving the RuneScape team, but remaining within Jagex. So that's interesting. He's working probably on that undisclosed MMO, if I had to guess.
Transformers Universe Online 2, in other words.
Most definitely. The Transforming.
Transforming, I like it.
So...
But yeah, that's really sad. It wasn't on the show about that balance. He would definitely be missed. And also Mod Deg.
Yeah, good
dev. Obviously not leaving Jagex, going to another project, but I will miss his silliness on live streams.
Yeah, funny dude. I like him. I've always liked Deg.
And I still want that freaking quest that him and...
Oh, I know. I forgot about that.
Him and Raven did last year at the Game Jam. I still need that in game.
In due time, hopefully Raven will put that out.
Also, rest in peace, Dead Quest.
Yeah, Dead Quest. I was thinking about that, but my brain was unable to form the words. So yes, Dead Quest is also going to come to an end. But maybe we'll find a new Dead Quest in his next game.
He said he's going to try to get something done in Game Jam. to wrap it up, but no guarantees that's going to happen. But that's his goal, so we'll find out.
Right on. Right on. I just tried to crack my neck, and it didn't work, and it hurt really bad. Let's see here. So, the big topic of the day, what everyone's really wondering, of course, price changes, which will take place on the 4th of June, which is not even that soon from now. We still have a good amount of time until this happens. So on the 4th of June, we will be increasing the price of membership for new members and those who've been unsubscribed for more than 14 days. The price of bonds, treasure hunter keys, and rune coins will also be increasing. Don't forget, though, if you're a member and you don't lapse out for more than 14 days, you're eligible to keep your current rate of membership. Subscribe
now. I wonder if that means people who subscribe with bonds as well.
Elaborate. You mean like if you had like,
I
okay.
spent the last 2 years paying with bonds only, so I'm wondering if I will still get a grandfather rate if I ever switch back to not paying.
From my understanding, yes, you keep the rate during which your account was a member. It doesn't matter what type of member, as long as you were a member, that member rate is locked in. If you decide to change payment methods back to cash, your cash method is still going to be locked in at whenever your membership started. Whenever that agreement started, you just can't break that contract for more than 14 days.
Well, then that's good.
So subscribe now to secure all access to all of RuneScape's members' content at current prices. As always, we're committed to giving you the very best value for your membership. We've got great plans for the rest of 2018, and we're already planning a huge 2019. The prices shown below come into effect on the 4th of June, 2018. So again, 1 month membership for United States is going to be $10.99. It was what I think it's $9.49 right now, I believe. So it's up like $1 something, and that's pretty much respectively across the board. But you can expect to see basically like a $10 shift in price difference. Unless you live in Australia, you get like really kind of screwed if you live in Australia.
Shift. I think you just said a $10 shift.
Yeah, it's $1 shift per month with a $10 shift per year.
Oh, I see what you mean now.
Sorry.
Okay. $10 a month would be a huge increase. My brain just had a fart there.
Yeah, no, it's all right. Like I said, I am on a lot of medications right now, so if I don't make sense, just let me know. Because it's very well possible that like half the sentence came out, or like I thought I said one thing and I said something else. But yeah, you're looking at about a $1 increase a month or a $10 increase a year. And that's for regular membership packages. Of course, this doesn't include VIP, Gold, Premier, and all that nonsense. So we don't know what that's going to cost yet. We have to assume that there's probably going to be a similar price increase. So what, it was like, what, $85 or something, I believe, for last year?
Around there, yeah.
So I would expect it to be probably between, $95 and $100 for next year, which I guess it can't be $100 because that's what 12-month membership is right now with the new prices. So it's probably it has to be like $90 or something, I would guess, if it's to remain a deal, that is. Good.
I also wouldn't be too surprised if there's not a big fluctuation in the price of that, because in recent years we've seen them move away from charging more for that and start charging less. So they might keep it cheap. Obviously, we don't know it. And they've said that they haven't made their mind up on that yet, right? That's a decision they're not going to make till the end of the year. But there's a chance that that won't have the increase that the rest of everything does.
Thank you very much, Zestar, for the Tier 1 subscription. That's 2 months in a row. Really appreciate it. Yeah, but you're right. I forgot about the fact that they have not really made their final mind on it. But they tend to change that like every other year. Like Premier has kind of fluctuated with the community's feel. Like the community really wanted to discount, and they did it. At first the community really wanted value, and they did that, and then people got angry at the price, so they changed it from value of items to value of dollars. And I think that seems to be the sweet spot. The only thing I would be interested in seeing is if they decide to introduce tiered membership this time around and have an actual package that is inclusive of lots of little bonuses, but costs more than your regular VIP package. Anyway.
Yeah, they got to be real careful with how far they go about that.
They seem to be desperate for cash. I say that, but I don't really mean it.
Well, I mean, I think if you look
I'm
at
trying
that,
to be incendiary. Go ahead.
and if you look at the FAQ, like the first thing they say in the FAQ about this thing is why are you increasing the price? And in short, we are continuing to invest in RuneScape, and the price increase is one part of assuring RuneScape's future for many years to come. Obviously, that's a very generic statement, but the next part here is actually what's important. Additional economic factors such as Brexit and fluctuations in values of currency meant that we needed to review the pricing structure of our games. Like, inflation is a thing, people, and also Brexit, whether you're forward
just
or against
because
it, whatever,
you're
like it shook up the economy. So
just because your job doesn't give you cost of living wage increases doesn't mean that Jagex isn't entitled to them for themselves, you know?
Well, yeah, and especially when they're an international business, right? Like a lot of stuff is changing as far as like how money, like the how the money is going to be interacted there and things like that. And like a lot of companies are doing this. Honestly, we saw like I think about 6 months to a year ago, Blizzard jacked up their prices for Hearthstone cards packs everywhere except for in the U.S. and partially in response to the same reason that Jagex is having to do this stuff. Like the international economy fluctuates a lot, and doing business internationally gets expensive, and you gotta cover that cost somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, this is just
like I don't think this is gonna make them more money. This is to make them more money. This is to make them
not lose money.
They were making.
Yeah. No, these types of price increases, especially when they're so minor like this, like it's literally, $1 a month. They're like, if they wanted to make money off of changing the price, like the subscription model, they would be changing it to $20 a month or $50 a month. Like they're not making a killing off of this price increase. They're merely trying to maintain a steady revenue increase. They're trying to maintain their profit margins that they have now. Which unfortunately means an increase, but like everything gets more expensive. Like that's just part of inflation. So like, I don't know. I don't want to get into an economics lesson here.
50 years
when
ago,
I'm high.
Where you could buy 50 years ago, where you could buy a house for $20,000, and now like, and even in back then, that was cheap compared to what prices of houses are now, right? Like this is just how economies work, unfortunately, and where we're at, and hopefully people are making more money at some point, and then they can deal with these.
That's how it's supposed to work, right? It just seems like the system always ends up being one-sided, and that's why people, I think, end up always being frustrated about price rises, is because they don't see the wage rises on their end. I hate to get political here, but like why else would people be so angry about a price adjustment that's natural if their own wage adjustments are not being natural?
Yeah, and I mean we're not,
and I'm not here to
going party specific or something like that.
No,
I mean people can figure out what we believe.
This happens
episodes, but
but this happens all across the world. Like this is this is a problem everywhere. It's not just a problem where anyone specifically lives. It's not like a party problem. It's a global problem. Anyway.
Yeah, and then of course this issue caused extreme riots. I mean, people flipped out over this, especially the old school community. The old school community basically is like begging for Jagex to separate out membership because they think it would be cheaper if old school was by itself.
Yeah,
it's hilarious. Old school thinks that they pay for RS3, and RS3 thinks that they pay
it's
for
so
old school.
Adorable to watch the memes go back and forth.
When in all factuality, both games are profitable. Like, and it's funny because one of the mods came out and said that. We might have that in a poster later. I'm not sure, but like one of the mods come out and says, like, guys, both games make money, and people, like the old school teams, the old school players are always like, there's 200 people working on RuneScape 3. Why is there 200 people? It's like you share 3/4 of that staff. Like, it's not just.
It's silly. It just shows an ignorance of how the company works, and I mean, not that they should have the knowledge, but it just shows like a willing ignorance against the fact that like they know that they just can't have a working knowledge, so they make these things up.
It's like the cognitive dissonance too, to like somehow separate yourself from the Jagex that owns RuneScape, right? Like we're old school RuneScape. We're not. We aren't associated with that Jagex. It's like it's the same company, guys.
Yeah. When you walk up the stairs, it's the same people looming down over you. Like it's the same company. Just because it's got a different logo and different people work on it doesn't mean it's not exactly. The finances are all coming from the same place. It would make really no sense to separate them. It would really create probably more paperwork than it's worth.
Well, and like honestly, old school would probably cost more if it was separated out. Like I do think that game is profitable, but if it was separated out, it would. I think that
it would
game
probably lose a lot
more.
of its marketing budget if it was separated out.
Yeah.
If I had to guess. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, like, it also makes no sense for a company that owns both games to completely separate the teams, right? Like that's why the RuneScape team includes people who work on old school as well, because if you have a customer support team, you don't need to have one for each game if the games are very similar and they can be supported by both. And that's what Jagex does, and partially to save money.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. Moving on to bonds here, these are the real people who are going to be affected, by the price rise. So bonds are going up from what, they're $5.99 right now, so they're going up to $6.99. So again, it's a dollar rise, I assume.
Yeah, but the big issue is going to be in-game currency, right? Like this is going to cost a huge increase.
But even so, keep in mind, like a $1 increase on a singular item, such as a bond, a singular consumable item, versus a monthly or yearly membership. Bonds are consumable things that are, like needed in bulk, whereas, this membership is a service that lasts throughout a month or a year or whatever. So the impact is much more noticeable on a bond than it is on a membership, in my opinion, at least. So yeah, this is going to really hit hard for the people who are looking to buy these bonds, because there might be less people purchasing them, one, and that's going to probably decrease the supply, or at the very least we're going to see a price rise due to the fact that people aren't going to want to sell them for the same price because they had to pay more for them, right?
Yeah, and especially right now you've got mergers just taking advantage of the fact that this price hike is coming.
Just put your bonds in for $25 million right now.
Yeah, I mean you could possibly sell some. Especially if you had done it like first day. I imagine the market's kind of stabilizing right now. As we said, the change isn't coming for like 2 months, but the prices of bonds is already going up a ton.
They're already shooting up. Like if the GE breaks 20 million, I'm going to invest, because they're probably going to keep going up beyond that.
There's a good chance that by the end of the year they'll be up around 30 mil. I feel like there's a very good chance of that.
That would
obviously
really
go back
hurt
down again, like they do sometimes. But I feel like when Premier Club starts coming around, they're gonna go high.
Oh yeah, when they're around Premier Club, yes, I could totally see them hitting 30 million. But for like, I'm going to assume that the new resting place is going to be around 20 million, like 18 to 20 million is going to be my guess, just because the previous resting point was around like 14 to 16 million. So it makes sense that if there was, a $1 increase, that it would probably go up a few million, on the bond end as well. So that's just my guess. I wouldn't pay more than 25 million for a bond. That's like desperation buy now high end is my guess. But like you should be able to stably buy a bond at 18 million at like median price in the coming months, I would assume.
And the nice thing about bond prices going up in game, and it kind of sucks for me because I pay for membership with bonds, but the nice thing about it is it hurts real world trading, because it will crash the value of real world trading.
But in turn,
gold.
It also hurts the value of the gold itself, its spending power, because now more people who would never consider breaking the rules in the first place, who have access to a legitimate market, may now actually purchase into this because it's a more reasonable trade rate. So you may see an influx of people who weren't willing to buy gold because 120 mil isn't that bad for it's not very good for $60, but maybe 250 to 300 mil is. So you might see people who weren't willing to cross that line now willing to do so.
Maybe, but real world trading GP is already hella cheap. The main thing I like is that it hurts the profits of people trying to do it. Not people buying it. Like I don't like it. People who profit off of it is what I don't want to see.
Sure, you're coming from an angle of it hurts the scammers, and I'm coming from an angle of it could hurt the spending power of gold. Which are it's just they're both valid, I think, and definitely yes, I agree. Anytime you can hurt a third-party real-world trade market, it's so funny how often I get emails in my inbox from websites all you have to do is run a 10-second ad, and we'll just send you $100 a month in your PayPal. We're the #1 most trustworthy gold selling website. Like go F yourselves. Stop ruining my game. I'm not gonna sell out for $100 a month. Anyway, those are your bond prices. Those are your new membership prices. Obviously, this isn't making people happy, but it's an unfortunate side effect of, you know, economics and politics and business. So, welcome to life. I didn't like it either. I was mad for like a couple hours. I got over it. I got like 200 comment karma on Reddit for my flippant response. That was nice. So apparently my feelings were echoed amongst the community. And my main issue was like, this is just a really poor timing. This is unfortunate because mobile was supposed to be out by now. And if mobile was out, I feel like there would at least be like, you know, some value added to that cost increase.
Yeah. And this is this decision must have been hard to make because this crosses a threshold, right? Like there's thresholds in where you spend money, right? Like anything. First of all, there's free, right? And free has like anyone's gonna take it.
Yeah.
Then as soon as you put a price above free, you enter an entirely different market. And there's there's something that weird that happens above $5 where it starts feeling more, and then there's above $10, and they just crossed that line.
Yeah.
Which could potentially, honestly, it must have been a hard gamble for them because it could make them lose people, or just people won't want to sign up because people see a big difference between $9.99 and $10.
Especially like $9.49 looks way more appealing than $10.99. So that's frightening. And you know what? Like honestly, if I was in like the financial officer's position, I'd be like, listen, we have to do this obviously for investing purposes, but we maybe can delay it by a couple of months. And again, to be fair, it's not happening until June, and mobile hopefully will be out by June, but God help them if it's not. That's all.
I mean, I don't know. I honestly think that with this price change, they probably won't release mobile until after the price change happens, right? Because it would be bad. Imagine if they released mobile and there got a bunch of people to sign up, and then we're like, oh, price is going up now.
See, I think that's the way to go. You lock people in with the low rate, and they love the game, and then you're like, oh, well, it's going up $1, and you're like, you're new, the world's exciting, and you're like, you know what, I don't care, it's only $1, it's a brand new, there's so much ahead of me, I don't care if it's $1 more a month, I'm in, you got me. That's how I look at it. That's very different business strategies. It's funny.
Yeah, maybe. And also, I mean, there's a lot of people who make a comparison to WoW, right? And they're like, oh, you can pay $15 a month for WoW, and it's a way better game. And
way better game is so subjective.
It's extremely subjective. Also, they have a much larger player base. Like, the reason WoW has never seen a price increase is because of how big their player base is.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, you can charge less when you have a huge player base. Also, WoW charges for every service in that game.
Yeah.
You want to change the way your character
smells.
You want to change your character's race? Guess what? You're paying $40. You want to change your character's faction? Guess what? You're paying $40. Like they charge for so much more stuff in that game.
You want to change your character's aspirations and dreams? $50.
And obviously, microtransactions are an issue here that we haven't really talked about. And I think that's mainly because everybody knows what we said on microtransactions, right? They suck, and we hate them. And they're unfortunately a necessary evil to keep the game alive. But yeah,
they are. Let's keep going along here. We got a post from Mod Jack. Some feedback changes to mining and smithing. So let's see. Again, if you're watching this live, you'll of course see me pounding out 120 smithing furiously before this goes live because I don't want to deal with all the changes. Because I have a feeling that smithing to 120 at the very least might not be profitable anymore. At least if it's going to be profitable, it means it will take like a year to do it instead of a month. So anyway. While we're happy with the overall direction of the project, we've made a lot of changes to the design based on feedback from the beta and the previously shown design documents. There are some smaller changes, primarily usability and quality of life fixes, but these are the biggest ones. Ore box. The ore bag, which was created and destroyed automatically, has been reimagined and is the ore box which you make using smithing or buy from the GE and have to remember to take with you. They have an entire design document on it, but I'm not really up for that at the moment. Unless you want to read through it, we can, but my voice is not ready for that. Upgraded Masterwork armor degrading. Based on substantial amounts of feedback on the subject, upgraded Masterwork armor now degrades to broken rather than to dust. The repair cost is a piece of Masterwork armor of the same type. That's a big clap from me. That is great. That is great news. If you heard the last show, we had David on talking about how Masterwork would basically be dead on arrival if it degraded to dust. And it sounds like, you know, the community pretty much resoundingly agreed with that opinion. And it sounds like Jagex has heard us. And good. This is good. This is very, very good for skillers and for the future of skill reworks, in my opinion. Very happy to see that.
Okay, so the ore box, just a quick summation of it.
Yeah.
It's going to be like an upgradable box that's going to require upgrading using like a tradable special item. So it sounds like another sink for smithing. So in my opinion, that sounds like a great thing, just to give people just to, you know, suck out more ore from the game so that it hopefully remains a profitable skill.
Awesome. I'm glad to hear that. They're doing their due diligence to try and keep the skill profitable, which I think is a hard thing to do, but a noble cause.
It really is. I mean, especially, I'm guessing David covered this when he was on that show. I didn't get a chance to listen to the episode yet, but, you know, tier 92 armor increase is a very slight difference versus tier 90, where, you know, like tier 92 weapon is a huge difference in damage. So they have to figure out a way to make first of all, make tier 92 worth it, but also make it stay profitable. So, you know, that's the whole point of this update, right? Make smithing profitable.
That's one of the goals, at least.
That. Yeah.
So let's see here. Artisans Workshop. Ceremonial swords are back as an optional distraction and diversion, which can occur while smithing in the same manner as the pit. They have a revised design for that as well. There's also low heat smithing. After the beta, we've changed the core mechanics of smithing so that you can continue making your own item even at 0 heat. Before, progress would stop up completely until you reheated it. Now, your progress continues, but with a 50% penalty. This allows for completely AFK smithing, but half as fast. Again, I applaud that, giving a fully AFK method. I think that's a good idea for people who want it. And the penalty, I think, is deserving. So again, they have a design document for Artisans Workshop. Do we want to go through that? Or do we want to move along? Oh, god dang phone. I'm going to mute myself real quick and if you want to carry me. Oh, what? No, we're good. Good.
I'm guessing that this is too minutia to really be that interesting to just read over.
Okay.
Could
yeah,
be wrong,
I'm looking through it. It's basically just like what you'd expect to see on the wiki page for Artisans Workshop if this was current Artisans Workshop. So, I mean,
the biggest thing is they say this design reinvents the Artisans Workshop and its activities as a proper smithing guild, which sounds great. It sounds like they're actually taking a lot of care about guilds recently. Like, I think that one of the things we're going to see in the GameJam next week is a reworked cooking guild. So honestly, seeing Jagex take a interest in guilds in the game again is really exciting to me.
Me too.
The max guild's the only one we care about, right? And it'd be nice to see a diversity of guilds that are worth doing special things at again.
Make all guilds great again. That's what I have to say. Anyway, I'm dying. I need help. My brain is melting. My eyeballs. Have you ever had chills behind your eyeballs?
I don't think I have.
It's weird. Also, I'm hungry. Anyway, let's keep going here. So that's pretty much the changes coming up to mining and smithing. Feedback changes from everyone. Here's my favorite document of the day. Oh, this is a good one. We're getting into the kind of the shitposty territory here, and of course, there was a lot of controversy due to the price increase, this horrible price increase that we're all facing in the upcoming months here. And why so fishy? For whatever reason, the name fishy is just completely associated with like real world trading to me. So like I immediately just don't trust this name. So this person immediately just doesn't have credibility with me due to like a previous like prejudice against the name fishy for that individual who had that gambling company that he made so much money off of that infuriates me that I just can never, ever forget about. Anyway, so Why So Fishy has this document here called Profitability of both Old School RuneScape and RuneScape 3. And it is a well put together document here that looks very official, very nicely put together. There's one part of it that looks copied and pasted from the official RuneScape release from, what is it, Publishing House or whatever the hell releases their document information. And then the rest of this document is just created using software that he, you know, owns or used, probably stole because he's fishy as hell. But most of this is just complete bullshit. Like, the math in here describing the profitability of both games just makes zero sense.
Yeah, so basically what he does here is he's taking 2016's revenue, and he's basically trying to figure out how much revenue at Jagex comes from Old School RuneScape and how much comes from RS3. So he's like, all right, so 2016's revenue total is 74 million thereabouts. All right, and so he's like, if we assume that OSRS has 60% of overall RuneScape player base based on active player count, OSRS has 35% of MTX bonds. This is just a ballpark based on player count. Could be higher, could be lower. Which, that number right there is completely fucking made up.
Yeah.
As we all know, OSRS has literally no microtransactions. All you can use bonds for is membership, which means it's going to be a way smaller market for the use of bonds. There are RS3 players. Like, you look at people like Calci, Calci is almost the 5.4 bill, and how does he do it? He bosses, and then he spends all that money on bonds, and then he buys Treasure Hunter XP. Like, that's what people in RS3 do. You don't do that in Old School RuneScape. So 35% is such a ridiculous number to guess here. And also, Old School RuneScape being 67% of the player base, he bases that on active player count. It's not active player count. He bases that on daily active users,
Yeah.
which is way different.
That has nothing to do with people who have a membership.
Yeah. And then his final paragraph here: the dropping player base in RS3, the growing player base in OSRS, and vastly lower operating costs of OSRS leads to OSRS being a far more profitable game than RuneScape. I see people on RS3 subreddit saying how RS3 MTX runs OSRS, but that's just simply not true. I love both games, but this argument is just outdated. Maybe 4 years ago, that may have been true, but in 2018, OSRS is the largest, most profitable game Jagex owns. If Jagex wants players to return to RS3 and thus better profit margins from RS3, they need to provide a game that players want to play. So basically, he ends up here saying that OSRS makes 7 million more a year, according to his bullshit guess here. Yeah, it's astounding to see the amount of just made up numbers here, and he gets called out for it in the comments by a ton of people, including myself. Now I can't find my comment in here.
Literally, every number you use to split up the income has no basis in fact and is just a wild shot in the dark. Online users is an extremely inaccurate way to get a reading of a player base size. RuneScape is a much older game than Old School RuneScape. Older games tend to have players who play less but are nonetheless still subbed. There is no way to tell what kind of difference it makes, and it's just one factor of many that make it impossible to accurately guess this. Sure, Old School RuneScape has a larger player base than RuneScape, but by how much is impossible to know. What if the average RuneScape player plays 4 hours a day while the average Old School RuneScape player plays 5 hours a day? Or what if the average RuneScape player plays 3 hours a week while the average Old School RuneScape player plays 4 days a week? Sorry. These numbers are made up to represent my point, but with things like what I've said about RuneScape being a much older game, the fact that more players are maxed, meaning they have less motivation to play a ton, the fact that some max players only play when a new update hits, and the fact that the RuneScape community skews older than the Old School RuneScape community, meaning people with more life responsibilities and less time to play, it is guaranteed that online users is affected by this in some way. Double XP Weekend numbers also point to this being the case. The bond numbers are just made up as well. RuneScape in general has more uses for bonds than old school RuneScape, and it is much easier for lower level players to afford said bonds, as well as for players to get a level where they can make enough GP for bonds. Not to mention the fact that the people at a high level also make way more GP than compared to old school RuneScape. On top of all of that, there's much more wealth in the game in general because, as I said above, it's a much older game. Sure, your numbers could be right, but your guess here is just a guess, and the likelihood of it being even close to right is about the same as the likelihood of winning the Powerball. Finally, if what you're saying was right, Jagex would know this, and they would have no reason to pour the most of their resources into old school RuneScape. This would also show Jagex that microtransactions isn't worth it, which knowing what we know would about microtransactions and how much money it makes over charging for something up front is nigh impossible statistic anomaly. Wow, my brain just died there at the end. Sorry.
No problem. It was a mouthful. I feel like I sufficiently owned that guy though.
I agree.
It's just amazing to see. Like, you know, I have no problem agreeing that old school RuneScape has more players, but we don't know how big that number is, and people always act like daily active users tells you that, and it doesn't. Sure, you could argue that just means there's more engaged players in OSRS, but I don't even think it means that. Like I said, you know, an older game has more players who play less. Like, that's just how it's going to be. And also, how many people over the age of like 40 or 50 even play RuneScape? Like, there's so many of them, and all those factors really hurt that number. Yeah.
We have, like, how many of our staff is over 40? Like, half of it. How many of our staff's over 30? More than half of it.
And also, assuming the lower operating costs of OSRS, the reason they have low operating costs are because we share a team. Like, people like to say the old school RuneScape team is tiny. It's like 20 people or something. It's not 20 people. You have 20 developers, and then you have the hundreds of people who support that game. And the hundreds of people who support that game are still extremely valid and important. Like, if you didn't have support, then how would you get your account unbanned if it gets wrongfully banned? Or how would you fix the payment issue? Or all that shit? Or how would you organize a tournament like Deadman Mode? Like, all that stuff is shared. Like, even you'll see, you know, Shawnee sometimes he helps host the Deadman tournaments. Like, that is just shared cost among both games. And like, people, a lot of the old school RuneScape community can't seem to get that in their head that we share developers. We share mods. We don't have, you know, just one team and then another team. They work together. That's the beautiful part about OSRS and RS3 is they can share a team, as we were saying earlier in the show.
Yeah, sharing is caring.
And then it's funny, his comment walking back after I sufficiently owned him there. I don't know if you want to read that or should I?
Go for it. My head's starting to feel like a vice.
Right. I feel like a lot of people are missing the point of this thread. And I do see your counter arguments. The point of this post was just to ward off anyone who is still saying that OSRS is being sustained by RS3's MTX. I see a ton of people still spewing this in threads, and I'm not sure why. People still believe it. OSRS is its own entity and is making Jagex a ton of money with low upkeep, not relying on MTX from RS3. Now, as much as that is technically true.
So there's false information going around, so let me make up more false information to counteract that false information. Yeah, real fucking smart.
He's also manipulating what people say, right? People generally argue that the reason OSRS doesn't have MTX is because of RuneScape, right? Like, it's not the fact that it wouldn't be profitable. Like, RuneScape itself would probably still be profitable without microtransactions, right? But it wouldn't be as profitable as it is.
Yeah.
And in a capitalist society, what you try to do is make as much money as possible. So RuneScape having microtransactions is entirely the reason OSRS doesn't. Like, if RuneScape were to shut down tomorrow, OSRS would get microtransactions in the flash of a fucking, like, in an instant it would, because that's how you make a ton of money. And, like, the reason they didn't bring microtransactions to RuneScape because it wasn't making money. They brought it to RuneScape because they wanted to make more money. Like
they were mandated to make more money because they were owned at
Yeah.
that point by an investment company.
And last year was Jagex's most profitable year ever. People like to talk about 2007 being this great year, and it was. They had tons of players. They made less money than they make now.
Mhm.
Like, there's a reason for that. Microtransactions.
Yep. Well, I have a good post here that I think sums up what everyone's thinking. GG, Jagex, you lost. Is this my last post here, too? Just a heads up?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Sorry for the short show today. I'm amazed that I'm functional at all. Anyway, GG, Jagex, you lost. Says, ban IGN Banana. And, I guess his name is ban in-game name Banana? I don't know. The mods, the face of Jagex, who must deal with the corporate decisions, must be hell. They work on this game to make it great and maybe genuinely enjoy the game or enjoy creating content, which, spelled like, the sorceress, is enjoyed by others. The allocation of funds for development and longevity of employee terms and of the game has fallen short a long time ago, and we all see the death of RuneScape 3, nice rhyming there, is near. After spending so much time playing, it's a hard idea to grasp, and a lot of us most likely put the thought aside. I don't even know if that's a sentence, but those were words for you there. But the end is here, and RuneScape 3 is on its deathbed. We've tried hard, but the unfortunate conflict between player and mod, rather than player versus the corporate office, has sped the inevitable. They surely realized when they were apologizing mid to end 2017 for lackluster and buggy updates and lack of any passion put into these projects, most likely by getting excited. This is not how you use parentheses, by the way. The rest of the paragraph is parenthesed. All right, here we go.
Oh my god.
Parentheses. Most likely by getting excited, telling players too much too soon about content, rushing to meet deadlines, and failing to fulfill their own order, while we only wanted what was released to begin with. When will they always with the be fancy and add things which they end up not delivering? End parentheses, period. End paragraph. GG, Jagex, you lost. Say farewell. The few who have separation issues or just can't give up their character after working for so long will also slowly realize. And I feel bad for even saying these things. You should. It's almost like putting a pet to sleep after a long, lovely life. We will miss you.
And with that, we'd like to announce that RuneScape Weekly is also over. It's been a good run. RuneScape is dead. It's time to close it up.
Apparently so. This actually this has been upvoted 39%. So you could use like Fox News credibility and say that 39% of people agree with this person, and that RuneScape is close to dying. Oh God, I'm dying. I'm dying. The only thing that's dying is me. Actually, we're all dying. I just love the title, GG Jagex, you lost. Like, what did they lose exactly? Oh yeah, the fight between player and mod, I forgot. What does that mean?
Pretty clear a old school RuneScape player. I like the first comment here. You and every angry person like you forgets that if Mainscape goes, so does the private OSRS server they've latched onto like a barnacle. So keep calling and praying for the death of the main game. It's just you lighting yourself on fire to burn down someone else's house. It's a pretty damn good argument there. Obviously being a bit hyperbolic, but this guy was being hyperbolic as hell, so I can't say I blame this commenter for also being hyperbolic as hell. Yeah. Like, it's, as we were saying before, if RuneScape goes away, old school RuneScape is gonna get hit with microtransactions like hell. Like, these games coexist. They help each other in many ways. They share a dev team, they share ideas, they share profits. Like, it's a synergistic relationship. It would be great if the player base could act that way, right? Like, I mean, we make jokes here about the OSRS player base, and generally those jokes come from frustration that those old school player base hates us, right? Like,
Mm.
if you say you play RuneScape to an old school player and you find out it's RS3,
They're
they turn
puking
off their
all of a
nose
sudden.
at you. Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
like, can't we just? I would love to just get along, right? We both enjoy a very similar game. You happen to enjoy an older version of the game that I enjoy. Like, let's just be friends. But
Let's
it's also
get
funny. It's also
along.
funny every time people say this, right? Because as we said, last year was the most profitable year ever for Jagex. But sure, RuneScape is dead. Don't forget. Record-breaking profits don't mean jack shit.
That's true. I mean, they would change my life if I had record-breaking profits, but it doesn't mean anything. Anyway, I wish my microphone was a pillow. That would be really nice.
Yeah. Short show today, but sick people need to go shorter. Takes a lot of energy to do these. But,
it is not easy to have to say.
I've had to make you all something. So here we are.
Yeah, it's like I went to PAX and I was like, I'm gonna have all this awesome content to put in the feed, and then I've been sick like ever since PAX, and I was like, I'm coming up on Friday. I can't not do a show. I cannot not. I told myself, and then as showtime approached today, it became really, really hard to do it, but we did it. We're here, and it's a short show, but it was a good show. It was a fun show, and I'm glad that we got time to do it. So I will leave it there with some.
It's a good show to close out RuneScape Weekly on. You know, it's sad that we won't be back, but what are you gonna do?
Shut up!
When
Don't
RuneScape is dead.
Don't say these things. You're gonna.
Gotta convince the
It's fake news. No, I'm gonna lose subscribers. All 2 of them.
Yeah. Well, I guess wrapping up a bit. Hopefully there should be a PVM perspective episode this month.
Fucking share. Go ahead. Yeah.
Magebit's falling over. But yeah, we're planning a PVM perspective episode for this month. It's kind of turned into a more monthly thing than a bi-weekly thing recently. Maybe we'll get back to bi-weekly. Not really sure, but show is being worked on, I guess I would say. And,
it's good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
In the meantime, yes.
Check out my Twitch channel as well.
Yeah, you
on Twitch.
Stream some PUBG so we can watch you play PUBG.
Oh yeah, I will be. I'm trying to get my sleeping schedule fixed so I can actually have a scheduled time to stream. But yeah,
Cool.
There's a stream coming either today or tomorrow, depending on how sleepy I am after my long ass day today.
Yeah, fair. I'd love to watch some chill PUBG, but I understand if you are tired. Because I'm freaking tired. But anyway, in the meantime, you can find us on the social medias. We got a Facebook page for you. We are facebook.com/RSWeekly. Give us your data. We are also on Twitter @RSWeekly over there. You could join us on Discord, discord.runeweek.com. We're in-game as well. We got a clan chat for you. Clan chat, kill, skill, and chill. You can see it on the screen right there. Kill, skill, the letter N, and then chill there. You go to clan.runeweek.com if you want to see our Rune Clan rankings. There was a pre-show today. I have no idea how long it was. I could have checked that out. I could still check that out. I'm trying to check that out as I quickly stall to get into the folder that would hold the pre-show here. It was like a half an hour long, like 27 minutes long. So if you want to get access to the pre-show, it'll be going up right after this goes down. And if you missed any of this short little show here, I will put it on rerun with a ton of other RuneScape Weekly content. So if you missed anything, just stay tuned to the channel, and reruns will begin very shortly. So thank you for tuning in to twitch.tv/Magebit. And if you are listening on the podcast, and thank you as well. And if you are one of our top Patreon supporters, thank you as well to David, Ephicxstix, and Sudwood. And of course, if you want to get access to these pre-shows, that's how you do it over on Patreon, patreon.com/RuneScape. Support the show if you like what we do here. We really appreciate your ongoing support. Help us keep the archives online, as well as produce new content. So thank you very much. And of course, get the pre-shows over there by pledging any amount of money you like. Thank you for supporting the show. RuneScape Weekly loves you. As always, happy scaping.